let me get right into the stories here. Of course, you know that so many papers are carrying the same story about the budget review, but the minority is expressing disappointment over the non-removal of taxes. And let's take a look at what we have on ChannelOneNews.com. Let me go to, let's look at what we have here. All right, so Atuforsen is saying that the economy is on autopilot. Now, the minority leader, Kaisel Atuforsen, has criticized the government's economic strategies announced in the mid-year budget review. Now, the finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, on Tuesday presented the mid-year budget review to Parliament. Among other things, he indicated that the government had disbursed $5.4 billion to support LEAP, school feeding, NHIS programs. He paid 12 billion Ghana cedis to bondholders, invested 10 billion in road projects since January 2024, and reversed negative economic trends. Now, responding to the mid-year budget review, Dr. Atuforsen argued that the current administration is running the economy on autopilot without introducing any innovative ideas to address the nation's challenges. Now, he emphasized that the need for fresh and effective economic policies to stimulate growth and improve the livelihoods of Ghanaians. Now, at the very least, Ghanaians expected this mid-year review would have removed or abolished a number of taxes that made Ghana a high tax regime. For example, COVID levy, e-levy, boiler tax, tax on domestic electricity, emission levy, etc. Mr. Speaker, this is a missed opportunity, I quote. Mr. Speaker, instead the minister did not announce one single new policy. The minister did not introduce any new ideas. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, Ghana is on autopilot. Our economy is on autopilot, he stated. Now, I want to start with lawyer, actually, because look at the amount of money the government has spent. You won't be grateful to God that at least we've had investment in all these areas. Look, 5.4 billion to support LEAP. LEAP is an important intervention. School feeding, NHIS programs. We have 12 billion paid to bondholders. All of this investment. They are saying that he hasn't removed any taxes. If he removed the taxes, how are they going to get money to do all of these things?
Good morning, my brother. You see, let's situate this MPP government's record in context. The MPP started with flamboyance, with words. They started by saying they had an Asempa budget. They said they had a Jumapa budget. Mpuntu, Nkosu, Obatampa, Ajenkwa, Nkabum, Nkunim budgets. These are the names, the adjectives they use to describe all the budgets they have presented to the people of this country. If there was a budget that was about Nkunim victory, would this economy be the way it is? If we indeed were victorious, like Nkunim is saying, would our economy be this way? If indeed there was the issue of Ejumapa, would it have been the case of state capture, where only a few, family and friends, are the ones profiting from the largesse of government? Would that have been the case? If it were the case that there was Asempa, would this government have been characterized by lies? You get the key word Asempa. That means it's the truth. Unfortunately, this government has led with lies. You talk about Obatampa, basically talking about
mother, a good mother.
It means what?
A good mother.
A good mother, like motherly. But unfortunately, we have females in this government like Cecilia Dapa, with suspicious amounts of money under her bed, over millions of dollars under her bed. Is that an Obatampa?
Yeah, but there's no.
Is that an Obatampa?
Any illegality.
Is that an Obatampa? You talk of Nkunim, you talk about Nkabum. They are uniting this country. You are dividing this country. Baumia is weaponizing religion.
How?
Oh, come on. Baumia, who goes around saying that I'm a Muslim, vote for me because I'm a Muslim. Is that not the weaponization of religion? Oh, but let's not digress from the issue. Let's go back to the issue of the budget. You see, so at the end of the day, This party, this government of the MPP has over the years they have accrued the highest revenue we've had over the years. But unfortunately, their leadership has been nothing. You see, they claim that there's been a rebound of the economy. That is a claim of the finance minister, that the economy is rebounding. The only explanation you can give as to why there are a few incidental improvements in the microeconomic indicator is the fact that the government is not servicing its debts. Let your production team just check right now and see when this government service debts. They don't service debts. So all the debts that we have, we owe to various multilateral organizations and institutions. This government is now defaulting in the payment of debts. It's defaulting. There's the issue of exchange rate. If they will record any bit of victory like you are saying, it's just because of the issue of the exchange rate. What has happened with the exchange rate? Today, the Ghana cedi is competing very worse with the US dollar. What is our exchange rate today? $1 to about 15, 16 cedis. Never in the history of this country have we been plunged into such embarrassment. Never in the history of this country has the economy of Ghana been described as junk. You know about that? Fitch, Moody's, all the global rating agencies have rated our economy as the worst, one of the worst in the world, with Somalia even doing better than Ghana. That's very bad about the economy. Unemployment has been plunged way lower. As of July 2023, the Ghana Statistical Service report says that 33% of the people of this country have been plunged into poverty. 33%. Ghana Statistical Service. You know, they recently released their multidimensional poverty report. 33% of Ghanaians are poorer today because of the reckless leadership of Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. So if you sit here and tell me that you have intervened in, what are the interventions? How do the people of this country feel that in their pockets? You promised that you're going to scrape taxes. Do you not remember that? They promised that they were coming on the back of scraping nuisance taxes. I expected to see the scraping of taxes in this particular budget. I expected to see that the COVID levy would have been scraped off. Emission taxes, all the nuisance taxes that this government has inflicted on the people of this country, I expected that the finance minister would have said that I'm scraping it off. Instead, more taxes. The third road tool that they said they were cancelling as a result of whatever their ambitions were, they are reintroducing it. Road tolls that they cancelled, saying that e-levy was going to be the savior. They introduced e-levy, it failed. Now they are going back to road tolls. It tells you the agenda.
So maybe when the road tolls come, the e-levy will go.
He should have said that. That means there's no plan for it. If indeed he was going to take away e-levy, the government was... Well, the fact of the matter is that even in 2025, they will not be in government. This is their last budget. This is their last budget. And I think the fact that they've been silent about e-levy is because they knew that they will not lead this country again. But you see, one other very important thing we must look out for is that several important sectors of this economy have recorded negative growth. And when we talk about negative growth, it means that no progress. In fact, we've retrogressed. Rather than even remain where we were, we have retrogressed. And I'll give you examples. On the issue of electricity, for example, we have retrogressed by 7.5%, minus 7.5%.
How so?
From the Ghana Statistical Service report.
We
have retrogressed by minus 7.5%. On education, there's been the retrogression of minus 4.9%.
When you say,
minus 4.9.
When you say retrogression in education, for example, what does that actually mean practically?
What it means is that there's a certain equilibrium, there's a certain level at which education is. There's an intervention on the resources you pump into education.
Okay.
We are not getting as much intervention.
Okay.
The progress of education has reduced. Look at the quality of education. Today, children have to go to school for just 3 weeks and they have to go back home again. Does that speak to progress? No, that is retrogression. They say they are implementing free SHS. Of course, and let me be clear. The NDC's position on free SHS is that we will make sure we continue and make free SHS better. But the fact we are saying is that the MPP has, you know, they've just messed up the entire education curriculum. Is there even a curriculum right now? Is there a curriculum? No. Textbooks are not available. So when we talk about improving
curriculum, if the teachers are teaching,
yes, the fact of the matter is that the textbooks that the students need to study, I mean, send your reporters out. There are no textbooks. You're not aware of this matter. Yeah, there are no textbooks.
Lack of textbooks is a different conversation from no curriculum.
The textbooks are an integral part of the curriculum, aren't they? How do you teach when the students don't even have the material they need to study and pass the exam? How? That's not possible. So you can't have a curriculum to say teach the students matter, biology, and all of the various topics under science, and they don't have the textbooks they need to study.
Okay, wrap it up for me, please.
In essence, I think that this budget reading has been nothing but a continuation of the disastrous agenda of this government. It's been nothing but sloganeering. I don't see any effort. And at the end of the day, it is about the life of the Ghanaian people. What is the state of affairs. Are Ghanaian people able to buy food today? Food inflation is at the highest level ever in the history of this country. The prices of goods and services, commodities in the market, very expensive. We cannot even build. The price of cement today is over 100 cedis. The price of iron rods, very expensive. Mr. Akufo-Addo, why? Alhaji Bawumia, why?
Fred, Philemon has given a litany of problems that clearly need to be tackled. The minority is saying that the budget wasn't inspiring. Atufosin's words, he says very uninspiring. What do you have to say?
David, let me say a very good morning to your good self and to your viewers. David, you know what? The 2024 elections, okay, will not be based on sensationalism, lamentations, like you said, litany of problems, litany of our problems, emotional blackmail, but it will be about solutions. Because we are in a new era where we need our leaders to give us bold solutions going into the future. So the issue of these chronicle of emotional, unfounded allegations here and there, with some names, it won't help. Because the youth of today are looking for a leader who will give us policies that will provide jobs, will give us a better future. And I think clearly, so far, the National Democratic Congress and its candidates, the former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, have not been able to give us that. And Ghanaians are not the Ghanaians you know in 1992 or 1996 or even 2000. They are looking for real issues, why they should vote for you. And I think today, Council has been able to really confirm and cement the fact that indeed the alternative is empty. Look, regarding the budget, David, consistent with what President Akufo-Addo said March 27th, 2020, when we were in the peak of the COVID, he said something, and with your permission, I would want to read that. He said, fellow Ghanaians, with the Bank of Ghana predicting a worst-case GDP growth rate scenario of 2.5% for 2020, should the virus continue to linger for the rest of the year, the effect on our economy will be dire. Then he went on to say, however, as we have demonstrated over the course of the last 3 years, where we inherited an economy that was growing at 3.4% and transformed it into one which has grown by an average of 7% over the last 3 years, I assure you that we know what to do to bring back our economy back to life. What we do not know how to do is to bring people back to life. We will therefore protect lives, then their livelihoods. With this statement, it's abundantly clear that the cascading effect of that pandemic was more than dire. Because if you remember, the statement was made in March 2020 with a decline of our GDP to about 2.5%. Even that, we foresaw that the economy would be in a bad state. We went as low as 0.1%. That should tell you the economy was comatose. There was virtually no economy. But the president made a promise that we know how to bring back the economy into life. And if you look at this particular mid-year budget review, it's a manifestation of the fact that indeed we are bringing back the economy to life. Because there are some key components that the budget review address, and I would want to share with you and your viewers as well. We gave an update on the IMF program that we signed on to the extended credit facility for 3 years. And we are into our second year. We've had a third tranche of money released to us to an amount of about 1.6 billion. The reason was that we needed to cushion our forex. So we needed that money. Because of the downgrading of our ratings, going into the financial market was a bit difficult. So there was a need for us to go into the program, as it were, to ensure that at the end of the day, we will have enough forex for our importation. Then we also talked about the debt restructuring. On that note, I would want to thank the bondholders, the domestic bondholders, for their patience, for their abiding faith in the president and in the government, because it wasn't easy for their debts to be restructured from 21% to about 9%. And if anybody tells you we are not financing our debts, it's one of those propaganda and emotional appeal just to win votes without substance. You just clearly stated that we've made available about 12 billion Ghana cedis to bondholders. In fact, even the domestic bondholders, it's not the case that we are not giving them their money. Yeah. We have just restructured, extended the time for which we would have given them their money. So even that, you need to subscribe. If you are interested, fine. And successfully, we've had about over 90% subscriptions as far as the domestic debt exchange program is concerned. And then we also talked about the OCC, our official credit committee, chaired by China and France. And they gave us some debt cancellation and some debt relief, which has cushioned us. That comes into the fact that we've been able to have some space, fiscal space, to be able to embark on some of the monumental infrastructure that we are seeing today. So today, when you go around the country, you see dualization of the Accra-Kumasi Road. You see the flower pots, the East Legon area, ongoing seriously, and other and many projects, the Agenda 111 and all of that. But there are also some key takeaways that we saw. And what is interesting is the fact that for first quarter, we experienced 4.7 growth. Look, the fact that Omni Media has an emolument of about, say, 100,000 for its workers, say, 10 workers, does not mean everybody will be getting 10,000 Ghana cedis for a month. It means that some people will be getting, say, 1,000, 2,000, others will be getting 5,000. Okay, I want to put on record that the fact that we are chalking and seeing a growth in our gross domestic product, the GDP, does not mean that all is well. It means that we are doing better. And that is why it is important to pay attention to the social investments that this government has made so far. And for me, it's refreshing. And if you permit me, I'll go into one of, and you mentioned some few. We've released about 5.4 billion Ghana cedis for national health insurance. And when we are talking about national insurance, among some of the beneficiaries, we've included children with cancer issues, annual checkup, medical checkup, mental health issues, prostate cancer. We've added all these things onto it. So that means that we are taking care of the poor. Okay. When you talk about the LEAP, it was about 62 households as we inherited in 2016. As we speak now, we have about 330 households as far as LEAP is concerned. And when you look at the amount of money we have released from 2016, that was about 47 million. We are now talking about over 400 million that we have released to LEAP beneficiaries. That means that we are taking care of the poor. You just mentioned the fact that so far we spent about 10 billion Ghana cedis on free SHS. That is monumental. Just look, as a parent, look at the economic situation in which we find ourselves, which were caused primarily and predominantly by the pandemic and then, of course, the Russia-Ukraine war. Imagine these economic situations, and then you'll be paying for your children's school fees. That would have been dire. So if you made this social investment, you also made about 9.9 billion in the road sector. This year alone, just this year, not the entire 4 or 7 years or just the 4 years. I'm talking about from January till now, 10 billion in the road sector. So clearly, I think that gradually we are coming out of the economic crisis that we found ourselves, especially in 2022. And I'm extremely hopeful that if Ghanaians will give His Excellency the Vice President, the candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the opportunity to continue and consolidate the gains that we have made, I think it will be better for this country. And I am clear in my mind, with the policies that he has put in place, I am sure that Ghana can go back to where we all want it to be. And I am also very positive that giving an opportunity to the NDC, that will not happen. There's a possibility for us to retrogress. Just so you know, the external credit facility program, or the program with IMF, will last until 2026.
Okay.
Okay, if there's a new government, God forbid, the NDC government, and we do not fulfill any of the requirements set out by the IMF, there's a possibility of us going back. And the NDC has a track record of not fulfilling these requirements set out by the IMF, as was seen in 2015, April, when Ghana signed on to the IMF program for a bailout. So clearly, we have a decision to make. We have a choice to make, a choice into the future or a choice to retrogress. And I believe that we all want to move forward. Okay. We want to go into the future, a positive future, and that can be with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
All right, okay.
He's had so much time as compared to what I got.
Boy, what calculations are you doing?
Oh,
you didn't make your point.
No. I mean, there's still, you see, the inefficiencies of this government are a lot. I still have a lot of them to talk about. You see, you must situate this conversation also within the resource envelope that this government has had. Nkrumah to Rawlings, our combined debt was about 122 billion. This government alone, this government in 8 years, 1.1 trillion Ghana cedis has been the resource envelope, and they have messed it up. You see, when you sit here and talk big English like the MPP does, it does not reflect in the pocket of the people of this country. What is the purchasing power of the Ghanaian? What is the value of the Ghanaian cedi? What are the costs of goods on the market, commodities? You sit here and talk, but the people are out there and are watching. Because when they go to buy yam, yam is so expensive. When they go to buy tomatoes, very expensive. Salt is very expensive. And you see, the insult of all of this is that they claim they have invested so much money in planting for food and jobs. If indeed you'd invested in planting for food and jobs, then the expectation would have been that food prices would be cheap. But go to the market today. Listen to the cry of the ordinary Ghanaian. The cost of foodstuff is too expensive. Gari is expensive. Put that aside. The exchange rate that you presided over, you claim that you knew how to bring the economy.
You have a minute.
You claim that you knew how to bring the economy to life. Since 2020, up till now, see how bad the economy has performed. Look at the rate of the cedi against the dollar. Go to Abosoka and talk to the spare part dealers. Are they able to import things from outside this country? Don't pontificate. You have failed as a government, and you must take responsibility. Take responsibility for that.
You'll get to responsibility.
It's not even up to 2 minutes anyway.
We'll get to
this has not been up to 2 minutes.
Yes, Fred.
I still insist that these elections will not be about lamentations. We want bold solutions, okay? That is why it's important to note that we do realize that we need to do something about the forex regime as far as the dollar to cedi is concerned. And we believe strongly that to do so, you need to empower the small, medium enterprises. And that is why July 16th, the president launched the SME Go growth opportunity that has dedicated $8 billion US dollars to SMEs in Ghana. As you might know, as you would want to know, 85% of SMEs are into manufacturing, 70% are contributors to our GDP, and 92% of all companies in Ghana are from the SMEs. That alone should tell you that we are a government, yes, we understand and accept the challenges in which we find ourselves, but we continue to provide solutions to our problems. You see, the NDC and the President John Dramani Mahama, we've witnessed him and we've experienced him before. And during his time, we also went through economic crisis. The question is, when we went through that situation, what were some of his interventions? He did zilch in that regard, to the extent that to the extent that he canceled nursing and training teachers' allowances. Okay, that's what he did. Teachers worked for 12 months, and he was able to pay them for 3 months, in spite of all our challenges. We are still paying civil servants. We are still paying teachers. In spite of all our challenges, yet we had a setback about 2 months ago in our energy sector. But for almost 8 years, our power has been relatively stable. When we found ourselves in energy crisis, President Mahama couldn't solve it for 4 years. But as we speak now, we've been able to engage about 5 of the 7 IPPs, and now we have about debt relief of 6.6 billion. That is giving us constant supply of power. So clearly, the choice is obvious that the MPP is a political party that will continue to ensure that you will get out of this economic quagmire and ensure that at the end of the day, there will be total economic liberation to all of us. That is what we are looking for. We are looking for both solutions and not complaining and lamentations.